All right, welcome. So you're tuning in to session 0 of our unnamed Providence campaign. I'm here with my fine players, and we are going to run through a session 0 real quickly to figure out what this campaign is going to be about, character creation, et cetera, for session 0. So 1 second. Okay, so to start, let's just go ahead and just jump right into it. Pillars. So for pillars, we're talking about main themes for the campaign. For things that we want to see, whether it's just like political intrigue, do you guys want to see like a lot of, you guys want to monster hunt, etc. Let's just go ahead and get into it. One that I would like to see, I'm just going to toss mine out there first, kind of give you guys a bit of an idea of kind of what I'm aiming for, and I'll share this so that we can all see it. Oh, that was the wrong thing. I want to explore the spiritism of the game. When I say spiritism, I mean the fact that this setting is very heavily based in Native American folklore and stories, etc. And that is a large part of it is spiritual realms. And there are a couple, but I mean, so I'm just going to toss it up here. I want to see spiritism be a large part of it, or I guess / shamanism. Outside realms. Does anybody have an idea of what they would like to see?
Before we get too deep, you want to give like a brief overview for anybody who's like tuning in the first time to what they should expect out of like a Providence game?
Yeah, for sure. Good call. I've never done many session 0s. So Providence is my Wild West setting. It is set in the area. Well, it's the country basically of Providence. It's a very old country where these people who are now known as the Providencers basically came from the sea to the west, and basically took over this land from the tribal people here. There are 5 tribes. There used to be one big tribe called the Anasazi, and this big tribe is now separated, and they're all kind of like living together now, though there is a bit of tension there. In a Providence game, what you can expect, it is very deadly. Guns are a huge part of it, as it is the Wild West, and they do a lot of damage. So you can expect to take a lot of pain and dish out a lot of pain in the setting. One thing that you also can expect is that there is going to be a lot of, not necessarily spaghetti western, but I play up a lot on those themes. Wagon chases, shootouts, digging for rumors in a saloon, etc. It's going to be definitely a wild ride in a way, in that sense. What you can expect is that it's going to be, I don't know, like a lot of fun. I love this setting. I think it's a lot of fun. Are there any questions, I guess?
Sure. I have not seen a map of this. Do we have a map that we can kind of reference, or
I have one in the works. I have one in the works that's halfway done. I'm
just curious, like analogs. I know it's Wild West, so I'm in my head. I'm picturing stuff like deserts, badlands, salt flats, that sort of thing. But you mentioned that they traveled from an ocean. Does that mean that there's a lot of like coastal properties as well?
So there are some. So basically, there was this event like a millennia ago called the Rivening, where the sun basically just went black. It still shines light. It's just like the sun is just black in the sky now, and everything started to die directly afterwards. Directly after the sun turned black, it started to rain less. Water began to recede, making it a very rare resource, and the land began to die slowly. It became known as the Creeping Wastes. Basically everything is just dying from a point of no normal origin outwards. The desert is basically just spreading. That being said, the ocean recedes year by year as well as water disappears. So the coast gets further and further away from those coastal cities.
Okay. So the desert that's expanding, is that something like Death Valley, where just things don't live there, kind of a experience?
It's kind of like it's very difficult for things to live there. Like the plants and animals are adapting as they do, but the people have a hard time. there are places in this desert called oases, which are like, for some reason, the water doesn't disappear there. And these are just kind of like randomly interspersed across the space of Providence, where water is still available.
So speaking of the riveting and all that you just talked about, I think in terms of the pillars you were talking about, I'd like to see that. I mean, we could maybe just write the riveting or something as one of the pillars. One of the sort of cultures that inspired me the most when I was reading the playtest document was the Yi Akagi. And they're these people, they're sort of tribal, they're very, Native American inspired, and they're one of the many tribes. And their particularity is when the riveting hit, they all started transforming into animals. And so it's super weird, but they have this cool like power thing where they can shapeshift now ever since the riveting, but they don't see it as like a boon as much as like a curse. That's something that they kind of want to get rid of. And so every 5 years, they send someone out to try to figure out, their mission is to figure out why the riveting happened and what's going on and how they can reverse it. And I think that would be a really cool theme that, like, if we could like spend some sessions like sort of exploring that, trying to figure out what's going on with the riveting and that entire mystery or storyline. So if that could be like one of the pillars, I think that'd be really cool.
I'd agree. I think that would be a good thing to showcase the setting and see the effects of like conditions of the world on the players or on the characters as we play through the story, I should say.
Yeah, and it sort of sparked too when you were saying like the oases. I was thinking like, well, maybe a good place to start to look for clues and what's going on would be, well, why are these places not affected? So it'd be cool to like travel from the different oases and like just sort of explore there and try to figure out what's going on. And then that'd also be a good way to like maybe showcase some of these oases if they're like bigger cities or cool places that you can go and explore, like sort of travel around to sort of investigate that, but then obviously plenty of adventure along the way and other stuff going on. But
okay, so you kind of want to dive into the cause and effect of the riveting, the reason why it happened, what it's doing to the world, maybe if there's a way to stop it, if there is one, etc.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
like,
I'd like to see like the effect of it too in game. Like,
right.
if there's a city that was there at the beginning of the game and we walk away from it and then we come back and that city is just gone into the desert waste because the riveting has expanded the desert on us while we've been gone chasing whatever the heck we're chasing, whether it's like robbers or whatever the case is. Like the effects of the riveting should feel real. So
they've been forced to move basically since you've been gone because the desert has expanded. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cool. So far we have we want to explore spiritism and shamanism. That's my input. Like the effects of the above and the below, and then the riveting, why it happened, is there a way to stop it, the effects it has on the world. See that as the theme throughout the story. Does anybody else have a pillar they want to add, or any other questions for that matter too?
So my pillar is going to be directly based upon playtest documentation. So hopefully that's cool with everybody. Dueling, because dueling is important to the setting, and I play a lot of games that focus on dueling. Like L5R has huge mechanics on it. I think that's a good place to focus some of our attention in the playtesting mechanical sense. Plus, it's a Wild West game, so duels are kind of part of the theme. So I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary to be like, hey, let's have a couple duels in here at least.
Yeah, and one thing that's actually kind of cool about that I've been working on lately with dueling is there's this idea that I kind of have been playing around with, of an idea that duelers are very prestigious people. People see them as like the best of the best. So if you're a good dueler, like a good duelist, you command a lot of respect and your name spreads. That being said, I have this idea of like a tournament of duelists, almost in a way. That like kind of like you have to build up enough fame and recognition to participate. It's definitely you have to be known to be able to even enter into this tournament. But like, I think it'd be kind of cool, and definitely as a point for dueling. So, like, what specifically do you want to see? Do you just want to see like mechanics in action?
Well, I want to see mechanics in action, but also looking at the mechanics, they're very bad for whoever loses the duel. Like it's
Oh yeah.
almost always death. Um,
hmm
I want that gravity to be there. Like you see it inside some of the older westerns. Like newer westerns kind of don't really do it, but like if you look at like God, what is it like any of the old like John Wayne movies, like the duel is not something you immediately jump into. There's a little hesitation, there's a little pomp and circumstance that goes into it. Half the time the duel doesn't actually even happen. It's just people being blowhards to each other. Like I want to see that kind of dynamic, kind of the relationship between people who consider themselves duelists and that sort of thing. I'm a big fan of any sort of social interaction stuff, especially if social interaction drives combat interaction or discovery interaction in the game. So
okay.
like I want to see more of the like I want the mechanics which will come with it, but I'm more interested in like the social ramifications of dueling, the society. Like you mentioned the tournament. The tournament sounds like a good thing. Like all of that stuff sounds interesting to me.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I like that a lot. It's true what you said. That it's kind of like people are blowhards about it. They're like, oh yeah, like you want a duel, and then usually they just kind of like, okay, let's come to some sort of conclusion. Let's not kill each other here. I like that it's kind of like a way to defend yourself and your honor, but it's also like a last resort. Like you don't want to step into a duel.
Like half the time, these arguments are going to be settled by playing poker instead of drawing guns, but guns have never been taken off the table as an option.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. No, I like that a lot. So dueling. All right, interesting. I like that. What about you? I'm gonna just call you Chris, another Chris. What about you, other Chris and Connor?
I guess I'm other Chris this time. So we're pillars talking. I think from what I have read, and I'll be honest with you, Ty, it's not all of it by any means, so I apologize for that.
That's fine. That's fine.
But I'll get to it, my man. I've just been really busy. It seems like the law and the peacekeepers is a big thing in your world, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Has there been talk about that yet?
No, we haven't talked about the law. Well, a little bit, but not like a ton.
Yeah. So I'm definitely interested in the peacekeepers and their opposing organization, the Sunset Syndicate, I believe. So is that right? Did I mess it up? I apologize.
Yeah, Sunset Syndicate. You got it right.
All right. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in that and maybe what law means in Providence, because it definitely seems like it's very black and white, but at the same time, there is that grayness to both sides. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm interested in law and the peacekeepers and the Sunset Syndicate. I don't know. Is that a good enough pillar for you?
No, yeah, that's perfect. I mean, I put law versus like anarchy. Like, what does it mean, basically?
Yeah. I've already talked to you kind of like in private, so I don't know if like we're at that part yet for like pitching ideas, but you kind of know where my mindset is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely a very big part of Providence is the law versus kind of like anarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, like you guys don't need to know all of this, but I mean, like I said, Providence is basically established on the law. The first governor established basically the law of Providence, and it's stood unchanged ever since. So, I mean, I like the idea of investigating the gray in a way, figuring out what is the law as good as it's supposed to be, or is it actually just another type of anarchy? I like that.
Yeah, you got it.
And I like to see what's not like the daily life of people is like, but just what the world is like from this smaller perspective. Like when we're walking through a Dust Bowl town, what are these people doing in this town? Just I like to look at the smaller scale things, just like to really kind of zoom in and look at the details of the world. I like that a lot, just seeing through a certain perspective, so we can look it top down at a world, but what does the world look like through a different kind of lens, just kind of, I like kind of like the idea of this Dust Bowl town and like the tumbleweed drifting across, and I don't know, the weird stranger that's sitting in the corner of the saloon. Like these things, these small little details, they just add up and build atmosphere. And I really want to explore this atmosphere of your Wild West setting, because it's such a unique atmosphere compared to like other D&D settings and games and systems and stuff.
So if I understand correctly, you want
I'd
to
agree
see
to that too.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'd agree to that too. As I mentioned, I like social interactions, so I like small scale stuff. Like if we don't save the world, you will not hurt my feelings in any way. Like I'm totally fine if our big adventure is saving a town. Like
Yeah, I agree with that
like the social interactions that come with like getting to know NPCs, having NPCs that have value, bringing them back into the story time and time again, interacting with their stories and expanding on ours, that sort of thing. Like I'd rather have an in-depth cast than have a world-spanning takedown. Now I'm forgetting her name. Dragon Queen, Tiamat.
Oh,
there we
Tiamat,
go. Yeah. Like I would rather get to know 10 NPCs and have like a really good story that's like around our interactions in this one town than that level of action.
I mean, if we can take down Tiamat 2 in the meantime, that'd be fun as well. Yeah.
I want to know the daily life of Tiamat, actually.
Daily life of Tiamat. There's the
7:30 a.m. Woke up, brush all 5 heads, teeth. No, yeah, for sure.
Picked an adventure out of my teeth, just like, oh.
Yeah, there's that femur. There's that femur that I've been missing. No, yeah, for sure. No, I like that a lot. I think that Providence has a lot to offer on the small scale too. And I think this one will be a little bit more small scale. It was my first campaign in Providence. So it's definitely going to be just as much about you guys helping me build this setting as it is going to be about us playing in it together. So just to kind of get that off the table, disclaimer, I am very much so a GM that's going to toss stuff to you guys to world build on the fly. So be ready for that. I very firmly believe that you guys have just as much to contribute to this world as I do. So, okay. So we have our 5 pillars then. Just to recap real quickly, we've got, oh my goodness, just spelled that terribly. We've got spiritism and shamanism. So like investigating the outside realms, the realms beyond the between. Your realm is called the between. We'll get into that later as we do a Q&A. We've got the riveting, the causes and effects, how to stop it. What does this mean? How does this change things? On a small scale, what does it mean for the people and the people who live here? We've got dueling, the mechanics and action, what it means like for society, social ramifications, the gravity of dueling, adding grit to the setting. What does it mean when somebody calls for a duel, etc. We've got law versus anarchy. What does law mean in Providence? What is the gray area like? Peacekeepers and Sunset Syndicate. Is the law always right or not? And then a day in the life, which is looking at the small scale, seeing normal people's day to day, looking at what they care about, seeing how they're affected in Providence, what their lives are like, etc., etc. Does that sound correct to everybody who submitted points? Okay.
Sounds like
perfect. All right, so we're going to shift down then into the next step, which is characters. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do like a quick throw out questions. I'll answer them the best I can. It'll be stuff like that has to do to your characters or like the setting to make sense. Let's just go ahead and take like 15, 20 minutes to do that unless we get into it pretty heavily.
Did you add the archetypes? Because I don't see them.
Yes, I did. I added the archetypes right beneath the very last race, the Dalad.
Okay.
And it's right before backgrounds.
Oh, well, that would be it. I skipped past that.
So you'll see that some archetypes have a tribal right next to them. That means that they are tribal exclusive. You have to play a tribal race to use that archetype.
Awesome. I have a question. Railroads?
Railroads, yes, there is. There are 2 railroads. There's one that goes like basically straight through and hits every single one of the 3 suns. The 3 suns are like the 3 main cities of Providence: Castor, Smallholm, and Nassau. Those 3 main cities are like the bastions of Providence, basically, like the bastions of civilization for Providence. There's a railroad that goes through those three main ones, and then there's one that kind of skirts the outside edge of the creeping sands. That kind of is like connecting it to the very edge of the frontier almost.
Awesome. Yeah, I love railroads and like train adventures.
Yeah, so there are railroads for sure.
So yeah, that's awesome. And are they like steam powered? Like, what are we talking in terms of technology level here?
Yeah, so I mean, like it's like Wild Western technology. I mean, like coal, like you're shoveling coal into the boiler, etc. You've got, I mean, like for technology, when we're talking technology, like you've got firearms, rudimentary firearms. You've got like the 6-shooter. You've got, your Winchester bolt-action rifle. You've got shotguns and sawed-offs, etc. And there are some other weapons that have been like specialized by a group known as the Reapers. But most people don't even know who the Reapers are. Because monsters are real in Providence, but most people don't know about them.
Okay.
Like it would be like our world. Like if somebody told you, like, "Oh yeah, man, like I saw a Wendigo the other day. You guys are stop screwing with me." Like it's not real. People would not believe you until you've had an encounter with it. Have you guys ever seen Supernatural?
Mm-hmm.
It's very much so like that. You're inducted into the life of knowing about monsters when something terrible happens to you because of one.
Okay.
Like a secret world kind of thing, yeah.
Exactly. Basically, it's like a secret world. And the Reapers are like the sect of the Peacekeepers that deal with that secret world.
Got it. That's cool.
That sounds dope. I'm sure it's in the doc itself. I'm trying to like go through it so I don't ask stupid questions. But magic, I'm assuming in your world, magic isn't like as per 5e, like you're not going to have a wizard casting fireballs, right? It's going to be its own kind of system.
Yeah, so wizards, sorcerers, and warlocks are all off the table.
Yeah.
As are paladins and clerics. But I am homebrewing 2 magical classes, and the bard is still going to be on the table. They're just going to be they're not going to have spells. And instead, I'm going to like change them up and give them some other stuff that makes so they work still. I'm
looking on the doc, and what tab our outline tab am I looking for to like see the classes that you have?
It's just called archetypes on the outline on the left side.
Gotcha.
And it's right above backgrounds and right after all the races.
Okay, perfect.
Page 22.
Perfect. Thank you.
So, since we don't see the full archetypes written out, how's this going to go? Do you have them kind of in mind, and once we pick them, you're going to write them, or
so like you guys are going to start level 1. So you're not even going to have access to your archetypes to start.
Right.
But like I have like a rough outline of them in mind. The rogue ones are both pretty much done. So if you want to play a rogue, I can show you a general outline of what they're going to look like.
Cool, because right now I'm in a toss-up. Because you threw pugilist in there, and it's hard for me to ever say no to a pugilist.
Yeah, like the brawler. Yeah, like yeah. I think that's a pretty fun idea, like a strength-based monk.
Yeah, that's almost always hard to pass up for me. But my original idea was, because I'm interested in the dueling mechanics, was the rogue duelist. I'm interested to hear how that's a little different than the fighter gunslinger. I assume the fighter gunslinger is more of like your straight, like upfront confrontational, like war lines type shooter. Like that'd be somebody who fought an equivalent of like the Civil War type.
It'd be essentially like a trained militiaman who's like learned to make their own way in the world. So the way the duelist originally worked is there were stances that they could take that made it so that they had like bonuses in combat and in dueling. I've turned the dueling stances into feats because it doesn't make sense for only the duelists to have access to them, because anybody can learn how to duel.
That's fair.
But what they're going to have now instead is they're going to have like a series of, I think of it kind of like the dirty tricks from Iskloft. Something kind of similar to that, but that applies directly to dueling that gives them an edge for dueling.
Okay.
So they're essentially going to be highly skilled duelists who can win most of the time, but I mean, there are still chances where they're going to lose.
Okay, I've seen 1 or 2 Iskloft documents, but they're quite far from where they were quite a far back version.
Yeah.
Than what is most recent. Those dirty tricks that you're talking about, are they effectively similar to like the fighters, the battle masters?
Yeah, kind of in a way.
they're like Battlemaster maneuvers, but instead of being like proactive or like buffing yourself, you're like hampering your enemy in some way. Just like trip, blind, shove, put dirt in their face, kick their balls, whatever. That's kind of stuff you're gonna do.
So one of them that I have ready already is called Light of the Sun, and it's basically like reflecting a bit of light off your revolver into their eyes. So like they get disadvantage on their final attack against you.
Okay.
So stuff like that. Like you'll be able to choose one during the trick like at a certain level, and then another one at a later level.
How many levels are we planning to do?
Dueling, by the way.
Sneak attack and dueling. I'm trying to figure out how to make that work.
I was gonna say, I assume the only way you get sneak attack is if you count to 2 instead of 3 and you shoot the other guy.
What I'm leaning towards is converting those dice. For each sneak attack dice you have is just an additional +1 on your attack, or in one of your phases that you can like allot.
Okay. I think that answers my question. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, sorry. I was wondering like how many levels you were planning for and like how fast the campaign would go in terms of like progression, but also in terms of like how many sessions do you think we're going to play or length of the game.
So I'm planning 10+ sessions. It really depends upon you guys and role play and which like branches you choose to go on, which roads you choose to go down. But I see the scope of the game probably getting maybe level 5 to 7, somewhere around there. I level fairly quickly. I don't do experience. I just kind of give you guys levels when I feel like you're doing, like when you guys are like following like a quest or doing something, or like if I feel like you guys have like killed like enough stuff or whatever. Like I don't know. Like it just depends, because I don't really believe in experience. I don't think that like I feel like it hampers the game too much. Like it's like, oh, I got to kill that guy to get the experience from him. Like I want to give it to you guys for like doing stuff and like succeeding in certain places and discovering things, and rather than just for killing stuff. So I just kind of give you guys levels when I feel like it, when I feel like you guys deserve it.
So what's everybody else thinking? It seems like Chris is leaning towards either a rogue or a monk. Do Connor or Alex have an idea of what they want to play?
I mean, I'm still kind of clinging to the Crossroad Demon packed gun found in an old lockbox buried 6 feet under in my pappy's farm, you know. So I kind of like that idea. I don't know how it's going to play out mechanically speaking. It could just be like I am a fighter or I'm a farm boy as my class, and just have this wacko gun, or maybe it's not even a wacko gun, it's a regular gun. That's kind of the idea I'm going with so far.
Yeah, so I'm really intrigued by the sort of the tribal aspect of things. So I was thinking I really liked the story behind the Gi Akagi and the shape shifting. I think that's super dope. So I was hoping to play one of those, and my idea about that character would be like not necessarily one of the people that they sent out to figure out what's going on, but maybe he like knows someone who was on that quest, like maybe like a sibling or a close friend from childhood who was sent out. And I think my guy would have had like a vision. I know there's like the vision quest background of something going terribly wrong with them, or you know, maybe them dying, and so he's out looking for this person to try to help them or save them. I think he would be like maybe someone who was trying to get selected for this big quest that these people have, and someone else got selected instead. And so he's sort of going rogue and going after them because of this vision that he had of something. It's still kind of vague, but he would be out, you know, going around and adventuring, but also with the side quest idea of trying to find this person who is actually on the mission to figure out what the shapeshifting is about. So not his personal quest, but tied to him in some way. And then for class-wise, I was thinking potentially like barbarian or ranger.
Okay. So barbarian or ranger.
So Ty, I want you to hit me up with the deets on the College of Reaper Bard.
Okay. So the College of Reapers, what it would be is essentially you are one of these people who has had something terrible happen to them. Basically, you've been inducted into this life, and you've studied under the Peacekeepers to learn all the ins and out of monster hunting. Basically, you would basically be a lore master treasure trove of knowing how to hunt and kill these beasts. You would have learned like their weaknesses. You'd have learned like their strengths. You would learn like the culture behind each and every one of them. Think of it kind of like a lore wizard, but specifically for monster hunting.
Right. And I imagine since that organization is a secret organization, it's more a protector of that lore than a person who goes around telling tales of it, correct?
No, exactly. Yeah, you would be like think of it like a wizard lore master meets a ranger.
Right. Now, campaign-wise, I know we haven't even got this far yet, but are we like, because when I originally was thinking about this campaign, I wasn't even really thinking about monsters. I didn't even kind of like rationalize in my head that would be a common theme. Is that going to be a common theme in this game? Is like dealing with these lore like monsters from Providence, or is it going to be? I guess that's kind of jumping ahead, but will a College of Reaper Bard fit into the campaign? Because that kind of interests me as soon as you started talking about like that secret world of like monsters and stuff, and having like a whole other side to like reality. That's interesting to me, but I don't know if that's the kind of campaign you want to have. So if it's not, I'll definitely just pick something else. I'm literally good with anything, but.
So as a heads up, because the Rivening was chosen and because I chose Spiritism and Shamanism, pretty much all Native American monsters can be traced back to spirits, evil spirits, either taking over bodies or manifesting themselves as like elementals or like, pushing like a monster to become like a creature to become something terrifyingly like a monster in a way. So I definitely think that monsters are going to play a medium, probably a medium role, not like a heavy like part, like it's going to be all about the monsters. But if you're investigating the Rivening and you're dealing with Spiritism and Shamanism, I think they'll definitely be a part of the game.
Cool. So then, by the sounds of it, it is something that would maybe fit into the campaign in this current. Then is a Reaper or a College of Reaper Bard, because I'll probably go along that lines if it is. But like again, if you want me to try something else, I'm literally down to try anything, whatever you want us to try.
No, I'm down for all you guys to try anything. None of these classes or archetypes have been play tested yet. So if you want to try the College of Reaper Bard, you are more than welcome to do so.
Sign me up. Call me Dean Winchester.
What is the spirit guide from the shaman list? What's the intent with that?
It's a shaman list.
I'm looking to give you an idea at the I think it's Biol. It's
the
Anasazi. Yeah, Biol.
Okay. Let me go.
One of their abilities says gain access to a spirit guide from the shaman's list.
Yeah, so basically the idea is that every shaman has a spirit guide. They've got like a spirit on the other side that helps them with their rituals, like doing all these things. One of the shaman's class abilities, when I make them, is that they're going to, at level 3, gain access to a spirit guide that can help them like in combat, out of combat, like lore-wise, and it's just kind of like a partner, like a companion to them. So gaining access to that as the Biol means that you would get like kind of like a lesser form of one of the spirits that the shaman has.
A little familiar, essentially.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Okay. I tentatively put down Southern Providencer, but I'm going through the raises to see if anything else jumps out.
Okay, for sure.
Was Connor going to say something before I keep talking? I thought I heard him say something. Now, my question then, if most of these classes aren't even fully fleshed out and you want to start jumping into this by the end of or mid-June, is it going to be too much work on you if we're all playing classes that you don't have figured out? No, I don't want you to like kill yourself to like get us all these classes to play the campaign.
I have a lot of time in the mornings to actually work on this.
Right.
So if you guys want to all play stuff that I haven't done yet, feel more than feel free. I mean, none of you guys have chosen any of the classes yet, which is probably like one of the complete class redo, except for the Bard. The Bard is going to be like a little bit more redone. But none of you guys haven't chosen the shaman or the witch, which are going to be like two of my biggest projects. So I have to completely make a class for those.
All
So
right.
along with archetypes.
I'm gonna multi-class shaman witch actually. Now that you mentioned it.
Oh, lucky me. Perfect.
Throw in a level 2 or a bard and take a.
Don't worry, he's gonna alternate every level too.
Yeah, he's going to take like 5 different classes.
Exactly. Just kidding.
He just wants to dabble and have a little bit of everything in Providence. I understand. I get it.
Little sampler platter.
Yeah, exactly. Got one of those little cheese platters with meat. Sorry, go ahead.
Was it Connor? I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to say, yeah, that's basically all I'm interested in. Just kind of popping out, literally, which is kind of different because, like, when I was originally picturing this, I wasn't thinking anything about that. But then as soon as I seen that, I'm like, that sounds super dope. And I want to see what it's all about.
Okay, cool. So, let's talk your guys' characters then. Let's flush them out a little bit in the world. Does anybody have any idea of how they want their character to relate to the world? And maybe we can try and like figure out what backgrounds would fit them, maybe like what part of the world they might come from, etc.
Can you direct me to the beginning of the actual race section? I'm sorry, I'm trying to like find things. I'm just doing a terrible job at it.
The beginning of the race section?
Yeah.
It starts all the way up at the Anasazi.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's like page.
Yep, I got it.
Page is this? Oh, you got it? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Page 9. Yeah.
I wrote this. Okay. All right. So does anybody have any idea of how they want their character to relate to the world at all?
I'm definitely imagining mine as a Providencer, as it's so eloquently phrased. I like the name Providencer compared to all these like Dalit and all these cool looking names that are just like Providencer. You know, you can't just not say it with a drawl. Yeah, I don't know which hemisphere I'm wanting of the Providencer, but definitely
that would largely depend upon what kind of mentality you want your character to have. So Central Providencers are very like think of them as like your normal kind of Wild West people. Like, I mean, they believe in the law, like they like follow the law. Southerners are kind of like a little bit more like dabblers and like that like heretical magic, like the things that like people burn at the stake for. They are a little bit more accepting of it as it's a little bit more common down there. And then Northerners are like lawless. Like that's like the Badlands, like the wastelands. Like if you go all the way north, you're gonna find yourself in shootouts, beating each other to death in saloons, drinking each other under the table, getting stabbed in a game of cards, etc.
Yeah, so I'm imagining like whoever this character or wherever this character's from, he's gonna be probably a local to whatever area of interest we're playing our game in. And Central or North sounds like where this man would be raised in. I don't know. The South doesn't have as much appeal to that, especially because like there wouldn't be as much of a stigma around this buried gun in the South as much as it would be in the North or the Middle, right? Like it'd be a huge deal.
Yeah, like if people found out you were carrying
so
around like a packed weapon, basically, like this like weapon given to your father through a Crossroads deal, people would lynch you like immediately.
Yep, exactly, and that's kind of an okay baggage I'm willing to claim. So one of those two, whichever one fits the actual starting location of our game, whichever one fits better is fine with me. Geographically speaking.
Okay. For Northerner, you kind of just want to be like just like a farm boy that just like found this gun.
Just some local, just some nobody who's been thrust into the role of a protagonist by fate rather than aptitude. I mean, aptitude will play a part as I level up, but that's why we're starting at level 1.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I actually kind of love the idea that you've never picked up a weapon before, and somehow holding your father's gun, you know how to fire it. I think that's kind of cool, actually.
Or like it fires itself or some stupid shit, just like just this weird gun.
I'm getting some serious Elric and Melnibone vibes from that. Like you just pick up the weapon and it wills itself.
And I can summon it again or whatever. I don't know what you want to do, but That's I'm going the Weird West side of things here.
Okay, I'm just gonna put Elric of Melnibone inside of yours. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
I'll just be a Prince King.
Oh, you know who Elric? Awesome, dude. Yeah, Elric, man. Anybody else got any idea for Stigma? I know that you said you're playing a Yiakagi. So for your story, is it that you were chosen, or that you got a vision quest and decided to head out yourself into the world?
So that was kind of second option 2 was kind of what I had in mind. Like I know there's like the Seeker who gets sent out every 5 years, and I was thinking like, I don't know, like either like maybe like a rogue Seeker. Like I wasn't chosen, but I wanted to be or something maybe. And then I got this strange vision quest, perhaps from the spirits or something, or maybe, I don't know, something's going on. And so there is a current Seeker out there.
Yeah, what if it was like
official,
someone
real Seeker? Yeah. Someone what?
Like someone of importance, like a sister or a brother, and like they just went completely missing, and you kind of go rogue because you want to know what happens to your family?
Exactly. Something like that, where
Yeah.
there's another person. The other option I thought of was maybe like, so it's every 5 years, and maybe like the person who went out 5 years ago was someone that I knew and trusted and loved or something, like a parent or a sibling, and I'm on the same quest, but I kind of want to find them or find out what happened to them.
So here's an idea to add a bit of weight to your story then, if you can choose to go with this or not. I have this idea. It's not like in effect yet for the Yiakagi, but I feel like that they wouldn't just let people leave because they don't want to be known. So
Exactly.
if you chose to leave yourself, maybe you're in exile instead of a seeker.
Yeah,
Like
like there are very strict rules about like if we're allowed to leave the tribe and go out and talk to outsiders.
And maybe if you choose to leave, you're never allowed to come back.
Yeah, I like that.
That's interesting. So maybe there's some sort of like an emblem they give to people, like to say that they left on the good graces of the tribe and they're welcome back if they return. So I mean, that's up to you though. That's just an idea that maybe we could play around with if you want to.
No,
I'm
yeah,
actually might be
I like
some elaborate tattoo or something that almost like a body spanning tattoo. Would be kind of cool. And if they're animal shapeshifters, maybe that tattoo, manifests in a similar way on the animal, or like does something different on the animal, because like maybe it's like connected or something. I don't know, just an idea. That's
kind of cool. Maybe they get like a name tattoo, like a new name when they leave as a seeker, and that's like tattooed onto their body, like to show that they are, accepted of the tribe. I don't know.
And I don't know. It says work with your DM to figure out like what your vision is and whatnot. So I definitely want to talk to you. Like,
yeah, we can have some chat
something during the game or whatnot. But I think it would have something to do with the regular seeker's goal.
Yeah.
Like something like that, or something that happened to them, or some huge calamity, or something where it's like the spirits of my ancestors are telling me, no, you need to go, you need to follow this, and the people in my tribe are like, no, this person was chosen, they're where it's at, they're off doing this vision quest. And so it's like a huge conflict for me in between, well, do I follow my tribe and my people, or do I do like what the spirits and the spirit world are trying to get me to do? And so it's like a sacrifice. I've got to go out and leave my whole tribe behind and sneak out in the night. And, I mean, they seem like a ruthless, like maybe if they find me, they're going to try to kill me or something, Maybe it's even worse than exile or something like that. Or exile's already pretty bad. Like I can never go back.
I almost imagine it like a cultural shunning. Like if you ever tried to like communicate with them again and people knew that you weren't actually a seeker, that they would just completely ignore you to the point where they would not help you in any way possible. Like in fact, try to harm you in their detriment.
Right. But I feel like there would be 1 or 2 people within the tribe, maybe
family.
like a small handful of people with whom like maybe my visions have been going on for weeks, and I've been telling them like, and those people are like my confidants or people who I trust and who trust me and who are like, yeah, dude, you got to go. But, know that if you come back, I'm there for you. Like most of the people are going to be against me in that tribe, but maybe I've got like 1 or 2 allies, like maybe a mother or a significant other in some way or another, a close friend, or some type of relationship like that, or maybe like an old crazy uncle who's like the weird shaman guy who nobody listens to.
Another thing to keep in mind is that a vision quest is a religious, like it's a religious ritual. So if you participated in a vision quest, it would have been like, I like the idea of it being like a prolonged thing, because usually it would just be like you go, you to partake of the incense and the smoke and like the ritual itself, and you let yourself be taken away kind of into this vision, and then that's it. But I like that it's like a prolonged thing. Maybe the spirit's trying to tell you something. I don't know. Like I think that's a good idea.
Or maybe it's a prolonged thing that like culminated into me going and seeing like the regular shaman of the group like wouldn't have me, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's like, no, the seeker's already been sent out. Like, shut up, go back to your daily job. So I had to go find like the sort of crazy old man who's like blind and shit, like have him help me, you know? And we did like the vision thing where I, you know, licked the toad or whatever it is to get the crazy visions.
Okay, so for sure, so you're going Giyakagi, who's kind of left the tribe, vision quest background. Okay, I like it for sure.
That's all I got, and if you're able to do the archetypes for like the barbarian and the ranger, so I can have an idea of what they do and what they look like, I could choose afterwards, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And we can talk one-on-one. I'm going to talk one-on-one with each of you to kind of like flush things out and like get like background, like full story. Because I mean, obviously you don't want everybody to know all of your character secrets so they can come out in game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'll message each of you individually as well.
Awesome.
Okay, so Chris's then. What are you two feeling? Or whichever one of you wants to go first.
You got something, Chris W, or
I've got some questions.
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
We're already talking about it being a small scale. Some of the Providence backgrounds really benefit on us like drifting and going from town to town. I'm looking at the Outcast. How much Outcasts are we really going to see? Is that feature going to be something that I can actually utilize?
Let me hear and get down to the Outcast.
And
what
the
one
level
of
of Outcast
feature.
are we talking about? Are we talking about like just plague-ridden people that just kind of drift from town to town and get scooted out by the police, and that's what I've got to worry about if I'm an outcast? Or
so Outcast can be something incredibly obvious, like a very terrible, debilitating disease, or it can be like a brand of like shame, basically, like you are no longer accepted of the people, which you can try and hide. So being an outcast is like being a social pariah in some ways. Like if people knew you were an outcast, they would treat you very differently than if you were, say, like just a drifter. Like as a drifter, you just go from town to town. Like you don't settle down. You don't. You get a lot of world experience by moving around. An outcast, you're forced out of places usually, and the only people who accept you, fully accept you, knowing who you are other outcasts because they go through the same thing.
Okay. I'm still on the fence about stuff, so I'll keep going through stuff.
All right, I kind of have an idea. I don't know how well it fits. Like I'm down to change it or whatever. But we're already kind of like drifting to that weird West feel, I guess, with the pact that Connor's thinking of, and I forget the pronunciation of what Alex is thinking, but it already definitely kind of seems like tribal and definitely like mystic and magical. So with my College of the Reaper, obviously discovering this other side of the world, and the pillar that I suggested, law versus anarchy, and where the gray line lies, I'm thinking that maybe my character started off as just your very generic lawman, a sheriff, or maybe not even that far, like a deputy. I guess a level 1 probably wouldn't be a sheriff, but like just your everyday like deputy or whatever, just good at what he does, but not really anyone of like importance, definitely not a hero. And then I'm thinking like some calamity happens, something where he really starts to see the weirder side of the world, the Reaper side of it. And from there, that's where the gray line of law is maybe where he's going to start seeing. For him, he always just looked, maybe he was a peacekeeper and he always just thought like Sunset Syndicate are the bad guys, peacekeepers are the good guys. But then he has this like weird encounter or calamity and then realizes that like Law is not what he thought it was. Like there's cover-ups and stuff. When a monster comes, they blame someone who had nothing to do with it because normal people couldn't handle the truth, and like his whole reality starts to shatter around him, something like that.
Like, I dig that. That's definitely very cool. So within the Peacekeeper organization, you have sheriffs, which are like the most highly ranked, like respected. They've shown their mettle. They know that they had like they are known to be reliable when it comes to the law.
Oh, yeah.
You have deputies who are like peacekeepers who graduated from the Peacekeeper like academy, like they're out of training, and now they've been assigned a sheriff to learn from. And then you have peacekeepers who are still learning the ins and outs of the law. I love the idea that you made it to deputy, and then you saw stuff that like something happened that you could not explain, and the sheriff had to sweep it under the rug. And so now you got moved to Reapers. Yeah.
Like I was a promising deputy, and the sheriff's just like, something really strange happens, and he's like, "Don't worry, like just pretend that didn't happen." And then my character's just like what? Like, no, I can't just say Joe Blow killed the guy. Like I just seen the fucking monster rip off someone's head.
Yeah, I like the idea that the people who can't stay quiet about something crazy happening are moved to the Reapers itself, because those are the people who are going to like do their best to hunt it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what happened. What do you think?
Yeah, I imagine that like he's like forced into it. Like I imagine most Reapers are like, they decide that they want to like do everything they can to like protect the world and like learn all this stuff about how to keep humans safe. And then my character is more like, I can't say shit, but if I'm not allowed to say shit, then I have to do something. And like he doesn't necessarily agree with the Reaper's ways, maybe. I don't know if that's like too taboo, but like if he can't say anything, he feels like he has to do everything in his power to like make sure that this stuff doesn't happen. So he's like maybe not your traditional, I don't know like if that works. He wouldn't be going around saying like, oh, there's monsters everywhere, because everyone would think he's a lunatic. But I really like that, like the gray side of anarchy or the gray side of law is like how the peacekeepers frequently like brush things under that are monster or like mystical related, and like pin it on something that's totally not what they're saying it is. And that's where my character like really struggles, because
I like the idea that the law covers up the chaos with the gray side of the law. Like kind of like they're justifying that like, hey, people can't know about this, so we're doing the world a favor by keeping it a secret.
Yeah, like a monster, like a Wendigo comes and like starts ripping people up, and then they just say like a drunk kind of went on like a tangent and started shooting, and my character's like that did not happen. We can't say that. But then they're like, you don't have a choice. You're gonna say that, or we're gonna make you look like the lunatic, and you'll be the next one behind bars.
Oh, dude, I already sensed that.
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome.
It could also be like a weird political thing too, where like, oh, we can pin all these strings of murders on this strange cannibalistic spirit, on this guy that we don't like, who's been causing trouble for our, our higher ups or our lower downs or whatever, and they, execute / imprison this poor innocent guy, or their enemy, based on pinning some supernatural murder on him or her instead.
And that actually starts to like further my original idea where I'm forced to like decide whether I'm gonna sweep it under the rug or if I'm gonna become the monster that they're making, like not the monster, but like I'm gonna be the one that they're gonna pin it on next. And I also like that the fact that like Connor and Alex are already kind of like definitely like your weirdest, like maybe the starting session and the calamity that happens is something like when we all come together, like that weird packed weapon, this weird tribal person that's exiled, all these strange things come together at once, and then something really crazy happens.
That's awesome. I really liked what you were saying too when you were like forced into it. Like maybe it was like what you were saying, like I can't keep my mouth shut about this, and they were gonna like pin a bunch of stuff on you and make you out to be the lunatic and whatever. Yeah. And that's when the Reapers sort of approached you and said, listen, you're about to take the fall for all this shit. You're behind bars, you're fucked. These sheriffs are just gonna pin everything on you. You could take it or you could join the Reapers, buddy. That's your options. You can you can hang, or you can join us, and we'll clear your name. We'll figure stuff out with the regular peacekeepers, but you're one of us now, and you're a fucking Reaper.
Not sick. I'm into it.
So, do you think your character would ever spare somebody from the fall that they're being set up for?
That's because like when I originally like started spitballing ideas to Ty, it had nothing to do with monster related. But the thing I really wanted to focus on is like a character that like strictly believed in a law and had like a very fundamental understanding of reality, and then that reality of the law that he knows being flipped upside down, and then now questioning what law is, or like what reality is at this point. So like I definitely think that I want that to be like a personal struggle of my character, is like, can he just let an innocent drunk bum be sent behind bars for doing something that he knows didn't happen, and that there's actually a monster running around that's going to do this again, and it's just their job to like hide this from everybody. So yeah, I imagine that there's a very real chance that he would struggle to let someone take the fall.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, if you're okay with me tagging on to your idea, is my character taking the Reaper background. Instead of like your character starting as a peacekeeper and then becoming a Reaper, my character just gets indoctrinated right into the Reapers, because I was going to be the fall guy and you fought for me to be not the fall guy in this case. Like you were like, okay, listen, we can pin this Wendigo problem on a wolf or mountain cats, anything, like this guy doesn't deserve it, all this stuff. Like the only reason that I'm not in jail or hung somewhere or burned at a stake is because you stepped in.
Yeah, super cool with that.
Okay, cool.
We can flesh it out more for sure in like more detail, but I'm into like that connection for sure.
Interesting. All right. So, okay, so you want to tag on to the Reaper thing, that you were going to be the fall guy. You were saved by him. Basically. So, to what extent were you becoming the fall guy? Do people know and suspect you still, like because your name was brought up, or what?
So, because I've already talked about how wanting to explore like the social interactions of dueling, I want there to be like an NPC that is like a captain or something like that in the Reapers, like a mid to high ranking person that he and I have had disagreements in the past. We've played cards together. He's stolen my girl, I've stolen his girl, that kind of nonsense. And this was his way of not facing me in a duel. He actually set me up to take a fall like 2 days before our duel was supposed to happen. And now he's my boss and who I have to report to, because now I'm just stuck in the world of the Reapers and can't claw my way out, just like his character can't. But it's like one last kind of FU by the guy who's been screwing me over for years.
Okay, interesting. So you this is like a guy you knew. You didn't know he was a Reaper, but he chose to set you up because maybe he
I imagine he's probably like, his cover story is he's like a bank manager or something like super mundane.
Yeah, but like in the Reaper world, he's like a captain.
Mm-hmm.
And then my part of it is I'm basically like a regular deputy, and then I see something crazy happen, and I know that that's not, and then we wake up the next day and they're like, yeah, we got the guy figured out, it's him right here, and they point at you, and then is that when I step in and be like, that definitely didn't happen, or is that not what you're thinking of?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is even if it's not the original way you got into the Reapers was like by finding the correct thing and then getting the blame off of me and then creating a new cover story that makes sense. Like even if it happened like a couple of years into you being a Reaper, that's fine.
All right. Yeah, I guess that's what we should figure out then. How far up the storyline are we going to go? Because I was imagining that my character becoming a Reaper is like very new since I'm level 1. Like I don't know. That's an archetype at level 3, right? So wouldn't I technically, or isn't an archetype at level 3?
For bards, it is.
For the bards, yeah. But that's like being like a master hunter at level 3. That means you've memorized all the lore. You've learned everything there is to know about monster hunting and like the different monsters that are out there that are known and possible ones that are unknown. So it's like you have trained your mind and your body to hunt these creatures.
So how far are you picturing going into this storyline? Because my mind was like, this has happened very recently, but like, are we going to be like flash forward and we all know each other? Because that makes sense. I just wasn't, that's not where my mind was, but I'm cool with that. Or like, what are you thinking? Or any
now that I'm thinking about it, because Reaper as a background would mean that I started as a Reaper, and my cover story is I'm a duelist. If I kind of put those two together.
Well, how we could remedy this is this could be fairly recent, and you could be an outcast instead. You could still be an outcast, and it's because you're still somewhat suspected for these murders because your name was brought up. But but now you're in the world of the Reapers and you're learning, and you've been assigned to work alongside him for him to teach you. That would make sense.
Or maybe you were suspected in the first place. They tried to pin it on you in the first place because you were already an outcast. They were like, let's just pin it on this outcast, you know?
Yeah, and that's where my character. And then my character's like,
no one's gonna miss it. He's an
I see
outcast.
what happened. I don't care if this guy's an outcast. Like, he didn't do it, and we can't just blame an innocent man for doing something so terrible.
Yeah, I think so. I think that works. Because my only hesitation with the outcast was just like if
Social
it's
stigma,
going to
or
be
like if
useful.
it's going to come into effect. Yeah.
I mean, really, if it's going to be useful. I mean, like, one of my big gripes about 5e is a lot of times the archetype or the backgrounds, they have like features that could be useful and just nobody uses them whatsoever.
Okay.
Like the what is it? The acolyte gets shelter and healing and food at churches. Nobody ever lets that happen in their games.
Yeah. Oh, so one thing I'm gonna bring up specifically, seeing as like what classes people are choosing, what backgrounds are kind of coming out of the closet right now. Having the outcast background might actually be incredibly helpful, because there are forces at work that do not want people understanding what the riveting is all about, and being able to find sanctuary among outcasts is going to be pretty nice, I think. That means you're not going to have to go to the establishments where they might come looking for you first, give you a little bit of like a head start if people come hunting.
Yeah,
so if your worry is it being used
based upon, I was gonna say based upon what we've kind of talked about, my two kind of clear choices here are either outcast or outlaw, and they both kind of have the same social ramifications. It's just a question of who do I want to get in bed with, criminals or outcasts.
Yeah, okay. And you don't have to choose right now. I mean, because I'm going to be talking with each of you individually, obviously, up until the game starts. So if you want to like put like a tack in it and hold it there, we can continue. Or if you want to nail it down now, it's whatever.
I'm just putting in what my options are on the character section here.
Yeah.
And then I'm okay with continuing, because I'll sit here and think about it a little bit and decide where I really want my character to be.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. You're thinking of playing a Providencer, right, Connor?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So Central and Northern Providencer. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into starting location. So it looks like we've got, let me go back to this list. We've got a Southern Providencer, a Yikagi, a Central or Northern Providencer. Do you know which one you want to be, Chris? Which race?
That's this Chris speaking now?
Yeah, you.
No. I'll probably go Providencer also, because that seems like where I would fit, right? Because I'm going along the lines of Peacekeeper Deputy.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I imagine it will be, unless it doesn't work, but like I'm imagining like the starting location is where my character will be from.
Okay. So it looks like we're leaning towards Central or Northern Providence. Which one do you guys sounds more interesting to you? Central Providence is definitely the most locked down on the law. I mean, that's where the governor's capital is. It's where Nassau is. That's where the governor lives. So it's like this, and that's where also the Peacekeeper Collective's like main base is Central Providence. Northern Providence is a bit more lawless, harder to nail down. Whatever you guys feel like.
I like the idea of Northern Providence just because it seems a bit more volatile. Like each town is going to be its own like ecosystem, its own like political setup, its own pyramids. Like each town has its own little rules because of just how small things are and how like isolated each of the towns will be. You take a few steps out of the town and you're just in this wild frontier, boony world where monsters roam the plains, and like these reapers or these peacekeepers might not be that active. They're more willing to be corrupted, or at least a little bit more like trying to maintain the little strings of control that they have. I just like it's more tenuous and more volatile, I guess, as I used earlier. Just this weirder, more wild west.
I completely agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, it has the most opportunity, I think, for like overlap of all these strange different stories occurring, just because of how wild it is.
Yeah, and I can see how I can fit my character into that for sure. So
Okay, so everybody's in agreement then with Northern Providence.
Sounds fine.
Okay, so let's go ahead and choose a location kind of like ideal within Northern Providence. Do you want to go completely lawless? Do you want to go like middle ground where it's kind of like a war between the law and anarchy, like in this town, like it's like a battlefield almost? Or do you want to go nailed down by the law? Like this town is established in like it's like a fortress against the lawlessness. Like, cause like in the north, there's a place called Castor, and Castor's like this big fortress town that's like held by the peacekeepers and like protects the northernmost border. But that place is like very, very law based, like super held down by the law.
I like the idea of some like backwater town that isn't governed by like a brand like a chain law, like some big law force. It's more like it's very lawful in the sense that it's run by like a family or something, right? More of a kind of mafia style law than a than like a judge jury kind of law, where there's more right. Like there's more like you still follow the rules, or else you're gonna get your fingers chopped off.
So kind of like there's a Negan in like in like have you seen Walking Dead?
Yeah, exactly. It's more like like a sheriff isn't like answering to a higher up. It's just like, no, this is just the sheriff of the town. He answers to old Mama Murphy over there. Don't fuck with her, kind of thing, So I like the idea of like a backwater town that has its rules. It is still a bastion of law, right? It's different than the law that we're used to, but it's still lawful just the same, right? You don't go out waving your gun around in a saloon. You still can sit at the saloon, pull up a stool, and listen to Piano Man. But like, it's not the same type of law that we're used to, or other places might have in Providence.
It's like, oh yeah, don't cross the Jamesons, man. Like if you cross them, like they'll come and they'll mess your day up. Yeah, okay,
exactly. Like it still has kind of farms out surrounding it. It has like traders will come pass through.
But everyone pays like a protection fee or like a tax or something. Yeah, okay, interesting.
So are we thinking like early days of Vegas kind of thing, where it's clearly the mob that's in charge of the law that's here, like it's criminal activity, but they're also the law.
I like the idea. Yeah, like it's a criminal based law, but also there's trying to those more established peacekeepers. They're trying to poke their fingers in. They're trying to establish some kind of sheriff system or like some kind of connection, and they're met with resistance because like, no, why do we want this external jurisdiction laying claim on our our town that's already our own little fortress, our own little setup, right? So kind of a weird tension there. I kind of
like why muddy the modern water any more than it has been already, basically. Yeah.
Like you keep your fingers away from us, and we ain't gonna pay you taxes, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Also, like if two of you are already set up to be Reavers, and I'm starting to think like maybe I could tie my guy into those sort of like the same type of deal. Maybe it's one of those things where we're sent in or whatever by the Reavers, and it's like there's supernatural things going on here, and you guys got to take care of that, or something like that is going on. But it's like a weird dynamic because the people who are there are like, well, we don't want these external forces coming in to like tell us what to do and whatnot. But at the same time, we got Wendigos and we don't know what to do about it.
We don't like strangers around these parts.
But we also don't like spirit demons and shit, So it's like, all right, well, we're in here now, and we're in this situation where it's like, okay, we're really trying to help these people. Like, we're here to take care of problems and stuff like that. But at the same time, we could be like a part of that establishment that this town is trying to resist.
Yeah, I like the idea of like my character coming fresh out of the academy and like very bright-eyed and probably like a pretty top of his grade. And maybe
getting assigned to the north,
and then being like maybe he rubs someone the wrong way, and then they're like, "All right, hotshot, this is where you're getting stationed," and he thinks he's gonna like go there and just completely change it, and just like it's gonna be perfectly fine. And he gets sent to like this old like sheriff that like completely just goes along with the people that are already in charge, just like understands that it's way too much work to like undo what this law is in the town, and my character is just like really struggling with that.
Yeah, like the sheriff is just like some 60-year-old man who just like hangs around in the bar too much. Yeah, he's just an alcoholic who's just wasting his years away.
Dude, and Connor, like your character could be from that town.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He just
like, are you like part of the family that's in charge or whatever. That'd be
I'm picturing like the cop from the season 1 of Gotham who's just like knows that everything's busted and the mob's running everything, and as long as you just go with that, it's good. And then my character's like, nope, we're gonna just like fix everything, and it's okay once these guys see the way and see.
So you're Officer Gordon.
Yeah, I guess I am now. Yeah, completely.
He's getting paid to look the other way, and you're like, I'm going to fix all this crime.
Yeah,
and then you get shanked in an alleyway sometime. You know, like.
Yes.
I think that solidifies my choice as outlaw. I think I'm going to be kind of the diametric heel to your character here.
Nice.
Like representing the alternate path that you could have taken in life.
Yeah. It'd be cool though, like even though you're like the complete like opposite or like rival, and not maybe rival, but like whatever, you're the outlaw and I'm the good guy, that even when your character does get pinned on it, maybe we're not like the coolest and like best of friends, but like my character's like, no, you may be a shitty person, but you didn't chop off people's heads, and I'm not going to let you go down for it. Does that sound cool, or do you want to be like a little?
Yeah, I think my idea is that he was definitely like an outlaw, and that was like the whole reason he was getting pinned on the crimes, in addition to this personal vendetta. But now that he's a Reaper, he's kind of cleaned up his act, but it's still there. Like going into this town, he still has those connections, and like one of the outlaws' ability is what was it here? On the lam, which basically means that I'm still wanted as far as like the peacekeepers are concerned, but the Reapers cover me up, which I think is great because basically the Reaper organization has this over my head, and they're like, listen, we can pull the rug underneath you anytime we want. And that's like the whole reason I can't get out of it. Like I should be hung for like crimes that I did a while back, and the only reason I'm safe is the Reapers are keeping me there.
I almost imagine that's the reason why the captain chose to frame you, because no one would miss you and you're already being hunted. So like, it's like, oh yeah, if he took the fall, no one would even really investigate it because he's already done these things that he's wanted for. Yeah, that's interesting.
Like I'm a duelist, but like chances are like I participated in some unsanctioned duel and like killed the wrong person, and like I've got counts of murder and stuff in my past.
Done a few heists and whatever. Yeah.
I'll come up with a rap sheet.
Yeah.
I love the idea of maybe like your duelist nickname being something about how you killed people that weren't even like the unsanctioned duels, basically like the devil duelist or something like that. Like you participate in like these like like underground fighting arenas. Maybe they're underground duels that happen.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like that idea, actually.
I think when he was younger, he used to participate in these ridiculous underground duels. Like, I just imagine a pit in the middle of the desert and 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. It's like Thunderdome out there. Like they toss in awesome. 1 gun with 1 bullet, and they're like, "Figure it out."
Yeah, I love it.
You're like you're missing fingers, and like you got this weird, wicked scar from someone biting your face off. You know.
Somebody ripped off like a piece of like the flesh from your cheek from like a bite, and they're just like it just like gets bloody down in this pit. If you see what I wrote right beneath your stuff, I wrote "witness" in just big capital letters.
And yeah, people like, dude, was that a Wendigo? And you're like, no, that was just some dude. You bit me.
That's awesome, man. I love it. That's sweet. Like this underground duelist.
The Reapers have me in witness protection, but will pull the rug underneath me if I act out. So yeah, I like that.
That's the perfect scapegoat.
Like a foil.
That's so awesome. Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and state it if it comes down to it, and your character feels the need to duel me to the death for crimes that I've committed in game. I'm okay with it. I'm just putting it out there. If it happens, it happens.
Dude, I love it, man. That's awesome. Yeah. The outlaw, I wasn't sure if the outlaw background was going to make an appearance since the law is so heavy, but like, I love it, man. That's great. That fits perfectly. I love the contrast between your character who just like, is like in it because he's forced to be, and then Chris's Villanueva's character who's like doing it because he wants to make a difference. That's perfect.
I love it. And I bet they know that you two like hate each other and like are so antagonistic, and that's why they sent both of you.
I was gonna say I gotta watch a bunch of buddy cop movies now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it, man.
What if like
That's
the
great.
beginning of it was like my first job was just sent there to like bust you basically, and like I was made out to believe that you were actually like the bad guy and going along with it?
Oh yeah, like you got told that I was the one leading the underground ring of fighting and stuff like that.
And I
Like,
thought I was like absolutely killing it, and then I just like literally get to the point where I'm about to arrest you, and then realize that like nope, I actually have to work with you now.
I love it. That's great.
I'm just gonna watch a bunch of like '90s buddy cop movies, and anytime Chris Rock's there, I'll just pretend that I'm Chris Rock, and that'll get me in the right mood.
Oh God.
I love it. Okay, perfect. So we've got our starting location. So we've got our starting location now. This northern Providence town that's kind of run by a family. Nothing this is gonna change because the sheriff is just like, as long as they're not like blatantly breaking the law, I'm not gonna make a difference, like try and do anything. In fact, I couldn't make a difference if I wanted to. So great. Let's name this town then. Let's go ahead and throw out some names. Let's name the town.
The Gulch.
The Gulch. Okay.
Sounds nasty.
How about the Something's Gulch, like the
Dead Man's Gulch?
Yeah, something like that, like the Something's Gulch.
What are some of these monsters that totally don't exist in the world? Like I know of Wendigos, which are basically skinwalkers, is like another name for them.
So let me hurry and pull up my list.
I was gonna say I know there's one that looks similar to like a young lady, but I can't remember what that's called.
There's a deer lady, which is like a pregnant woman who died and leads children away into the forest. There is
maybe something along the lines of like that mythical name that definitely doesn't exist in this area, Gulch.
So okay. Let me hear and pull up the list, and I'll kind of give you guys some stuff. Are you looking for like beastly type monsters or like more like mystical weird creatures?
I'm thinking more like Raw and Primal might fit well because Gulch is just a weird like disgusting word, like the Grimjaws Gulch, something like that. Whereas like it's really evocative and really kind of like carnal.
Yeah.
So a gulch technically would be a narrow, steep side.
Yeah, it's just a ravine, It's just but it's such a nasty word. I love it. Just like Gulch.
Yeah.
I feel dirty just thinking about it.
Yeah.
There's a ravine right by my house called Bachelor's.
I would want it to sound either super rough or super delicate. That way it's just completely misleading for what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sandy Steps.
Let me hurry and pull up my bestiary list. Okay. So here are a couple of ideas then. You want something like a beast or like something graceful, I guess? Okay, so there's an Anuye, which is like this giant skunk bear that sprays acid.
Skunk bear's gulch.
Nice.
There's an for like kind of like graceful. There's a thing called an archery, which is like it's the ghost of a dead like little girl who comes and like leads away children into the forest, basically.
I like that. Archery's
that was the one I was trying to think of. Yeah, Archery.
There's Kamazots, which is like a death bat. It's like this like giant Batman, basically.
Does he have a utility belt or no?
No, it doesn't actually. Left it at home.
Oh, okay.
There are Kanonsitnotsis, which are like flying heads. Basically, if you murder somebody, its head will like disentangle from its body and follow you around everywhere. There's a the Nadam Kinawet, which is like a perverted merman. A rock.
Talk about Gulchy.
Like a thunderbird. There's a Seltad, which is a sand elemental. Let me see. There's Uktena, which are horned. It's like a giant horned serpent. It almost looks like a horned dragon. It lives in lakes. There's a Wampus cat, which is like a woman who becomes a cougar. So you could do like a Wampus. There's a Yagam, which is like a giant red sand shark. There's all sorts of weird stuff. The Hodag, which is like a devil dog.
Devil Dog's Gulch.
You could put a Scootakamooch, which is like a ghost witch. There are all sorts of weird ones in here. But it sounds like you guys like a Nuye, Archery, and the Hodog, right? Is that what I'm seeing? Uktena? Is Uktena too?
I've been playing too much Fortnite. I'm just tempted to make it an alliteration.
I really want it to be an alliteration. Like it's just got to be like Gus Gulch, just like Gus something Gulch,
The Gusty Gulch.
Nice.
I kind of like Wampus Gulch. I think that sounds kind of cool. Wampus Gulch.
Sounds very interesting. Oh, stay your eyes from the Wampus Gulch.
And our Cherries Gulch sounds a little more like fancy, I guess.
Yeah, Wild West town generator. What they come up with.
I also like Gulch because it sounds like it's in the mountains. Like you have to have mountains in order to have a Gulch, which is cool. I don't know. I think it's cool if it takes place in mountains, but like you can't have a town in the middle of a desert.
There are also Rougarous, which are like shapeshifters.
Could work.
So I'm looking at a town name generator. We got Crow's Gulch, Lawless Gulch. We got some.
I do like Crow's Gulch.
I like Crow's Gulch a lot, actually. It's really ominous, which I like about the town. Like there's just always like on the church or whatever, on the steeple, there's always like a crow perched there, just like watching. Kind of in a weird, like spooky kind of way. I like Crow's Gulch, actually. Yeah, that's something I like a lot.
Yeah, that could work.
Oh yeah, there's also like an Alpotomkin, which like I guess that would work too. It's like the Native American version of a vampire. Like it drains people completely of their blood and is unkillable unless you burn it, basically.
Golden Gulch.
That's a very misleading name for the town we're making up.
Yeah. No, I think Crow's Gulch has my my winning victory or my winning vote here. Can't beat a procedurally generated name, honestly.
But yeah, Crow's Gulch is cool.
It has a lot of gravity to the name,
So are we feeling? Does everybody like Crow's Gulch then?
I think so.
Yeah, it's fine with me. Yeah.
Okay, Crow's Gulch it is. Maybe
there's like a weird like origin story for this town, or like some heat deprived or heat sick wanderer was just crawling through the desert and saw a crow fly overhead and followed it and found this place that was a watering hole and built a town around it or whatever.
Yeah. So here's a question: do we want this town to be an oasis or not?
I do like it being a watering hole. Just like I think that towns by necessity have to be watering holes to support populations.
Oases carry a lot of stigma to begin with. For example, like an oasis would have a water corporation set up there, like these water traders I was telling you guys about earlier. They would have one of these corporations set up there because water is a resource and oases never go dry.
What if it was like an independent?
I think it's cool if it's an oasis.
What if it's an oasis that's like independently ran by this crime faction or this crime family?
They're a mob that deals with water.
Like they're just independent in like every facet of the word. Like they have this water.
Yeah, I really like
so much power, right? They're not gonna go and like sell out to these water corps because
that really does press the idea of water as power in Providence.
Yeah, especially up in the north when it's so lawless, right? Like
it's so lawless. I think the water corps are like trying to come in and get in there, and but maybe it's like pretty recent or not quite discovered yet, or well defended, or well kept secret, or something.
What I love about making this into Oasis is that it adds a third cog to the wheel. You've got the lawless family that runs everything, the peacekeepers that want to convert the town into a peacekeeper town, and the water corporations that want the oasis in the town. So you've got three factions now fighting for control of this town.
Yeah, and then it actually ties my character into this crime family. If if they're dispensing the water, and my family is a farm family.
Yeah, you would have to pay
a lot
the
of
tax
debt
on
to
water.
them. I'm basically a serf, right? My family's a serf to them because they're dispensing me water for irrigation. So
and
I got a lot of debt to them,
And I think that can really tie into my character too, with the pillar of the rivening, because the oases are places where the rivening, quote unquote, isn't happening.
Yeah, they're
And so
weird
that could be a
pillars of
cool
like.
thing. And I was also thinking, like, I don't know, back in the day, I watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and like,
Okay.
and so she lives in this town where a bunch of like weird supernatural stuff is happening. And it turns out all this supernatural stuff is happening because of the fact that this town is built basically like on a gateway to hell, or gateway to the mystical realm, or some sort of like area, which is why there are all these supernatural occurrences. And so I'm thinking like maybe there's like supernatural occurrences that have been happening more and more around this town, or maybe it's kind of always been that way, or that the supernatural and the spirits and the weird is very present here, and that could be linked to the fact that it's an oasis. And that could tie like the mysticism and the rivening and sort of my character that's on this vision quest in. Like maybe he had some vision of this area or a monster that is around here or something like that, and he is being sent by the spirits here because like this is where shit's going on. This is an oasis, but it's like an important place, and you need to be here to be in the middle of the action, or in.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying for sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it'll be an oasis then. It's this weird dynamic here, this independent oasis that's owned by this family. Maybe that's like why they're so influential and important, because they were the first people here who own this oasis. Maybe their families are the progenitors of Crow's Gulch. That'll be for me to decide, I guess, and tell you guys later. But cool. So we've got our starting location then. Crow's Gulch.
I got to thinking about it is if it is an oasis, that gives the peacekeepers a reason to want to capture it, because if they capture it, solidify it, turn it into a fortress, they now have water to go out and take care of all the other cities that are within a couple days travel of Crow's Gulch.
Yeah, it's a strategic location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I can see this town becoming a battle zone. I love it. Okay, cool. Any other suggestions for the starting location that you guys would like to see here?
I don't know if this has been touched on before, but what if it's like a burial ground or some other spiritual importance to the pre-Providencers as well?
Oh, one thing to know if we're playing in the north is the main tribe here who kind of rules over everything is just as savage as this land. They're called the Soul, and they like worship like the sky. And they are very like Aztecish. Like they still do human sacrifice. They're kind of like paganistic, rich, like tribal. So like they are very weird and strange, and people are afraid of them because they are just like they paint themselves in all these different colors, and they put bones through like their ears, and like they wear the bones of their enemies, and they're very weird, strange tribal people. Definitely the most paganistic of all the tribes. So that's one thing to be aware of here too. That would definitely work if this was like a burial ground beforehand.
Yeah, like that also would
like,
imply any kind of importance to this particular oasis, right? Like just all these kind of the spiritual overlap too of this town is like it's an oasis. It's it's a sacred place to these. So it's it's where these spiritual monsters have been kind of rampaging about, and that's why the Reapers are here, and that's why my dad had to get a devil gun and blah 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 blah. All these weird. I just like it is like a literal kind of overlap of so many different stories going on. And the only thing keeping it in balance is the fact that it has one unifying government to it, which is like this family of the lawmakers, this mafias. Like they're the ones keeping it afloat. If they go out, then the whole town will crumble to all these different invading factions that want access to the land.
Right? See, that's going to also be interesting as it plays off of your theme, Chris V. The idea that is the law, should the law always be in charge? Because this family seems to be doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, and like I'm made to believe that they're not doing a good job, but then when I get there, it's like, all right, and I start to see that like without them, even though they're doing some shady things, that without them.
Yeah, like maybe they have a pact with the Soul or something.
They're keeping the bandits and raiders in check. They're keeping the farms properly growing food despite the desolation of the world. They're keeping crime at an all-time low because no one's scared to mess around with them. Blah 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 blah. It's like it's not a utopia, but it's pretty damn near one. even though they have questionable morals or
I'm getting
questionable
some serious Mad
deeds.
Max vibes about this town. I freaking love it. Okay, cool.
And who knows how involved they are with the dark powers that are around.
Yeah, for sure. Like maybe they're consorting with witches and they are speaking with the shamans of the So, and that's how they're actually going to making stuff grow. Like who knows? Like I'm sure there are all these nasty rumors and like things about them that like people don't like understand them completely. Like maybe they'd be like, yeah, like I heard that the leader Jeremiah Jameson, he bathes in the blood of a virgin once a month just so that he can have the power to keep the town under control. It's like stuff like that. I'm sure there are all sorts of rumors that like build upon their notoriety.
Dude,
You guys
this
will never
town is
know.
awesome. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. Actually, I'm pretty excited. Anything else to add? Anybody?
Is this like the end of the end?
What do you mean?
Like, are we done though session 0 after this, or are we going on to another category?
There's one more category after this.
What's the last category?
Mysteries and intrigue.
Okay. I think I'm good then.
So the area around this town is just going to be like kind of rocky badlands and canyons and So territory, and maybe there's another town off like maybe a few days by carriage or something.
Are
Yeah.
we like
I like it.
Sorry, go ahead, Connor.
No, go ahead.
How far like detail are we going into like thinking of our first session, or is that something that you're going to surprise us with?
I think I'm probably gonna surprise you guys with the first session. Like we'll probably figure out the introduction together.
Okay.
Like where we want to start, like everybody together after you guys have like your characters and I've got the archetypes figured out and like I fleshed out the town a little bit more.
Yeah. Because my only thing that I'm thinking of character creation wise is like figuring out how far along this timeline is between like mine and Chris's
graduating from the
character.
academy and arriving here. Yeah.
Yeah, like have I already been inducted into the Reapers, or is like that going to be session 1? Do me and Chris already know each other and have that rivalry, and that's something that we're gonna like monologue or like quickly tell about? That's the only thing I'm wondering, but we can figure that out later.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So if there's nothing else to add, then let's move down to mysteries and intrigue. Okay. So basically, this one is a little bit more freeform than anything else. It's not like specific things that we have to like nail down or figure out. But let's figure. I want to give each of you guys one question that you guys can pose about the world or about what you've heard, about what you understand, that we will try and figure out over the course of this campaign.
Mine will be, why does he have a double gun buried in a plot of farmland? And like, what did he do to get it? And where did he go? Because Dad's not around anymore. So kind of like the mysterious daddy fellow. Kind of like that's a question that my character will want to have answered, because like that it's kind of a looming question, a looming mystery over him so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. Also, I kind of like the idea of the mystery of like the town, just like what lurks beyond, the small bastion of light that is the town. Right, it's a very wild place out there. What lurks in the darkness? Yeah.
I think mine will be, I don't really know how to word this, but like, how far does this like hidden world actually go? Like, how many people have been wrongfully accused? How many good lawmakers are actually maybe like monsters in disguise or something? Like, how much of my reality is actually not true whatsoever? I don't know how to word that better though.
But what is real and what is fabrication?
Yeah, how far does it go or whatever?
How deep does the rabbit hole get?
Yeah.
Red pill or blue pill? Your choice.
Okay, cool.
All right. So mine will be what happened to the previous seeker. So I think from what I know, the previous seeker came here, and I have no idea what happened to him. Did they step on the wrong toes against the family and say they took care of him? Did some supernatural beast, are they involved in that? My character is investigating what happened to the seeker, and I want that to be my main mystery.
So what happened to the seeker / what does the vision mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know how to really phrase this one. I want to make a statement, but then ask questions about the statement. So, the oasis is not an oasis. It's something else. What it is to make it appear as an oasis is its own mystery. But it's highly kept secret by the family that's in charge of this place. It's part of the reason why they won't sell the water to a water corporation and just take all the money and run. Like, they're weirdly protective of it.
Or like, how old is the family? Are they actually centuries old? We don't even know.
The family and the water, their connection, how it works. Like, for all I know, they're making blood pacts with demons to create water to keep this place alive. But it could be anything, really.
I love that. That's awesome.
So it definitely looks like we are aiming on staying in this town for the most part for the course of this campaign, which I'm totally okay with. The town is very intriguing to me already. I am looking forward to digging into it, as it were, and developing it some. Over the course of the next month, I'm going to be giving each of you a piece of the town to flush out to your own will and desire. It'll be just like a saloon, or maybe it'll be like a person to just do as you guys please with, to design them. That way you guys can feel like you own a piece of this town as well. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yep.
Okay. So in the court, so we've determined. Yeah, that way the DM does less work. That's right, baby. That's how I do things. So I have one last thing that I want to figure out, and that is going to be, let's decide on. This is one thing I actually just kind of want to add to this. What should I call this? Additional info. So on this, no, okay, I know what I'm going to call it. I know why I was spacing. Let's determine. Everybody just toss in like a theme that they want to see. Just something cool that they'd like to see. Do you want to see a wagon chase? Do you want to see a shootout? Do you want a saloon bar fight? Like, what is one thing that you would like to see over the course of the campaign? A certain kind of monster. Like, what is it? Just one thing per person.
Tiamat.
Okay, well, I'm gonna nix that one. Somebody else. I'm just kidding.
A Providence clone of Tiamat. A Providencified Tiamat. There we go.
Interesting.
No, in all honesty, or all seriousness, I kind of want to see what a Providence devil looks like, or at least would feel like, or how they interact with a person. In what ways do they manifest? Whether that's direct, we encounter one, or indirectly. Just like the fact that there's this supernatural force at work, stirring the pot with their bony talon finger is kind of a cool idea. Yeah, cool.
Okay, what does the Providence Devil look/feel like? Crossroad Demon.
All right, I want an ancient ruin.
Okay.
This is gonna sound dumb, but what the shit was that movie? My daughter was watching a movie, and it was like stupid kids like Disney movie. The girl with the long hair, Rapunzel, and they had this fight on like a watery like
on the aqueduct or whatever it was.
Yeah, and they're like fighting on the aqueducts. Yeah. Like I want a scene like that. So since like I imagine the city is gonna have some pretty cool water technology. Let's just go with that. Water tech, like how water runs in the city. Is
like
that
reservoirs and giant barrels and casks and weird. Yeah.
And maybe in a cool encounter like that. If you don't know the scene I'm talking about, I'll like try to tag it in a
Oh,
chat.
I know what you're talking about. Like when he's basically dueling the horse with the pan and like
Yeah.
like swinging from the hair and whatever.
But they're like bouncing from one side of the water duct to the other, and it's like falling around them, and
it floods, and there's a giant tidal wave. Yeah.
Yeah, super cool scene.
So I'm calling it. I'm just gonna put dynamic combats.
Yeah, that's cool.
Involving water.
Water World.
And surfboards. Yeah.
Providence Water Park encounter. Just kidding.
Yes, they have a water park, I'm sure. Okay.
No pressure.
I think I want to see some like classic Western tropes. Like I definitely want to see like the classic duel at high noon, like the tumultuous one of us is going to die going into this. It being the duelist character, I know that I'm probably going to set that up for myself, but I definitely want there to be like a session where that's like the climax of the session. Whatever kind of staging happens around it, if it's like at the aqueduct or whatever, is fine. But
so what we'll do in an ancient ruin, we find an aqueduct where you have a duel with a demon.
There we go. Perfect.
That's
So basically, you're saying like kind of like that cliffhanger ending where you two are just standing across from each other at the end of the street, and then in the next session we actually get the shot and see what happens.
The scene just ends with a gunshot, and we don't get to know.
Yeah, I like that idea. Like we leave it as a cliffhanger, and then we pick it up again. Like that would be a really cool way to finish off the session. It's like if you play a game, like a campaign, and you get to the fight scene, you go, okay, everybody, roll initiative. All right, I'll see you next week. Like. What?
Yeah. It's like as we go through the full duel, and then it's like, okay, roll. I'll see you guys next week. And then you have to live for the entire week, not knowing if you lived or died.
Yeah.
But then after that session,
totally fine with that.
Let's let our adult schedules ruin everything and not be able to play the game for like months at a time, so that we can never know that. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
and then eventually we'll give up in December and roll it inside the chat.
Yeah.
No, I'm very dedicated to making sure this game happens at least twice a month. And it will always be Mondays. It'll always be at the same time so that you guys can always plan for that.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say in advance, the month of July is terrible for me. But all other months are good. But
like Monday specifically are bad for you, or what?
I could probably no. I'm going like on a 3-week conference, work, vacation extravaganza in July. So
okay.
I might miss like one session in July.
Okay.
If you know that ahead of time, you can prepare for that.
But
yeah, if we know that ahead of time,
like other than that, Mondays are really good for me in my normal everyday life. But so I can definitely do the 2 in June. I might be able to do like 1 in July, and then I'll be free for August and so on and so forth. But I just want to give everyone a heads up that my availability in July is limited.
Yeah, if we know that ahead of time, like I can plan for like something to happen at the end of a session for you to be gone in the next one.
And is the time going to be the exact same time as tonight, or is it going to be like how is the time for everybody else? Because up until this point, I've literally had every Monday off for like almost a year now. But then as I signed up for this campaign, my boss decided to do this new things where the schedule is going to constantly be rotating. And 1 week we're going to have 10-hour shifts, and the next week we're not, which means that I'm not always gonna get Monday off. But if like starting a little bit later is an issue and I can have like heads up, I can like ask my boss for like this specific Monday off, or if you guys are flexible and like literally push it back a half hour, I should be able to make it all the time regardless.
Time isn't an issue for me. I can go late. It's fine. I'm on the western side of this continent, so it's kind of fairly early for me. So later is no problem.
Okay.
I'll make stuff work.
Yeah, same. I mean, as long as we don't go like too.
I was gonna say I'm not working out in the morning, so I don't have to worry so much.
Yeah, I've got work on Tuesdays, but as long as we don't go too far past like midnight MDT, I think that would be like a good.
Okay, so if we need to push it back occasionally to like 8 o'clock MDT, like just 30 minutes, like we can.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to start at 7:30 if possible, just so we don't go too late for everybody.
Yeah,
But if we
I'll
need
try
to
my
push it back
best.
occasionally, it's okay.
And if you can give me like an advance, like the Mondays that we're gonna pick, I could be like, hey, can I have these Mondays off or at least leave work early? I have stuff going on.
Yeah, that'd be
Usually
huge.
he should be pretty good about that. But
Mhm.
like I don't really know because he literally decided this like last week. Like I've had Mondays off for like literally almost a year, and then he's like, hey, so we're gonna try this new thing now, and you're not gonna get consistent days off for a while. So
okay. So we know that the next two games, like the first two games, one's going to be on the 18th, one's going to be on the 25th of June.
I'll ask him. And
like so those are set. We decided on those like 2 weeks ago.
Yep, I'll definitely bring those up and say I need those Mondays off, or at least be done by 7:30 your time, which is like,
okay.
What is that, 9:30 my time, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, perfect. So that's everything for session 0 then. I will be working with each of you individually. If you want to, like I'll message you each individually and we can talk about your concepts and like how you want to play out, and I'll try and get archetype stuff done for you. I'm going to share a link with you, Chris Wilhelm, because I already have the brief, like I already have the rough draft for the duelist done. I just have to change its level 3 ability. So you can take a look at that. I'll send that to you tonight, actually. As for everybody else, I will get stuff to you as it is finished. Sound good?
Yeah, I actually
Awesome.
have one problem, and that's that a month sounds like way too long to start playing. So,
well, I'm very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. I already love the dynamic that we have for this group. I just can't wait to get into it. So let's go ahead and do outros. We'll start with Alex, work over to Chris, plug whatever you want. Chris Wilhelm, plug whatever you want to, plug your channel, plug whatever you want, and then we'll end.
Awesome.
Sure. So I'm Chris Wilhelm. I am part of Drop Dice. Well, I am Drop Dice, but I'm also part of a new thing called Babel Corp Roleplay. I'm the head of marketing. If you are curious what the hell that's about, you should definitely check us out. Lloyd Collins is with me, Marquise, and one other person that I'm forgetting now because it's late for me. I'm so terribly sorry. Jeff Doty. There we go. All right. I didn't screw it up too bad. Yeah, we're definitely looking to get more games that are more story focused and looking to put together our schedules so that we can have a Twitch channel that runs games pretty much all the time, each day of the week. So if you like role-playing games, and you like story, and you like big names like that, come check us out.
Cool. On to Connor.
Hi, I'm Connor. I'm half of Dice on Ice. We've got a YouTube channel. We are currently writing Cryfoth, and we'll be releasing it soon on DriveThru RPG. You can check that out. On our channel, we run games. We run a variety of games, mostly in 5e, but we kind of dabble in other things sometimes. That's all I got to say.
Cool. On to Chris.
I'm the other Chris. I actually have a YouTube channel myself, the RP Ginger. And on that channel, you can actually find a lot of Wizards of the Coast modules. Right now, I'm currently running Storm King's Thunder. Also ran Curse of Strahd. I have a couple one-shots on there and stuff. And also, very recently, I have started or what I'm going to be starting soon is a West March style campaign of Tomb of Annihilation. And if you're interested in playing that, I'm taking anybody that wants to play. We're going to be kicking it off very soon, and just join the Facebook group called West March Tomb of Annihilation campaign, and you'll find us there. And very soon, those games are going to be kicking off on my channel. So yeah, check it out.
And last but not least, Alex.
I am last and certainly least. I don't really have any YouTube channels. It's hard to follow up from these three guys. But I spend a lot of time on the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group, so you can find me there and hang out and game.
Okay, great. And obviously, if you're watching this, you're tuning into my channel, On a Roll, ROLE, like roleplay. I'm DM Ty. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, I hope you find yourselves in your games on a roll.